Hello and welcome to the Verso podcast. My name is Rico and I'm the co-founder of Verso. With me, I have my co-founder, Ellie Goldman, who between the two of us makes up this brilliant initiatives that we're bringing to the market. So today's podcast is really to introduce you to what's the story behind Verso, who we are, what has really made us make this initiative a reality and really what we think that we're going to bring to the sales community that's not available there today. As a quick introduction, my name's, as I said, Rico. I've been in sales for 35 years and I've been very fortunate to hold a number of different positions from account executives all the way through to kind of senior global leadership positions. And I've been exposed to many geographies across the different continents and really understand the nuances of the culture, of the way sales are run, the expectations that comes with each region and the respective cultures, and really what's behind what drives the mentality of salespeople for good and for bad. And what I do know, and the reason why Verso was founded, was that the bad is really what I know can be addressed, could be made better, which has two huge benefits. One is that it helps you as a salesperson in terms of preparing and mentally being more resilient to the issues and the negative aspects of sales, but also from a business perspective, making you and the businesses that you work for more productive. And ultimately, that's the two angles that we want to bring as Verso. So that's me and what the objective of the podcast is. So, Ellie, can you maybe just give us a couple of words from yourself, a quick intro, and what brought you to Verso?
Okay, thank you, Rico, and hello, everyone. As Rico said, I am Eddie Goldman. If Rico said he has 35 years of sales experience, so I have probably more than 40 years. And really, we start talking with Rico about this Verso experience or journey, which is really to bring something different to the sales people, both managers and salespeople, where we want really to help to handle this very special job, which is doing sales is not only technology, is not only practicing something you learn at university. This is something very different from being, first of all, a human person, then a good professional, and a person that people want to trust. So this is where we want to put our experience together. Next to you,
Thanks,
Rico.
thanks, Ellie. So maybe a place to start is really where this all came from at least my perspective, and what I want to share with you is hopefully something that will resonate with those that are listening or watching this podcast. Probably about 3 years ago, I was asked by an ex-colleague of mine to present to a sales team, which was made up of around, I don't know, 15 people from different continents, and the objective was to try and give them a view of sales. That was the remit, and the first time I'd ever been asked to do anything like that, or even to kind of consider how I would approach doing something like that, and what I was trying to kind of come up with when I was, thinking of the slides or the content to kind of present was, what would it be beneficial for the salespeople to actually hear, and what would be different to maybe what they've already seen. So, for example, and I'm sure all of us, those that are listening to this again, and I'm sure yourself, Ellie, is what I didn't want it to be was what you probably get every other month, quarter, or sales kickoff, which is sales training. Sales training, no disrespect, is such uh, a subjective kind of experience, and it's one where personally, yes, you can pick up a few bits and pieces, but from my experience, if you try to teach a salesperson how to sell, you're not going to get the best reaction from them. And typically it's very vanilla, cut and paste content. People switch off very quickly and you walk away and forget what they told you within, you know, a couple of hours, let alone a couple of days. So when I was putting this stuff together, I was thinking, well, actually, what about just sharing my experience, sharing what I found was good, what worked, what didn't work, how I felt, how I dealt with certain situations. And that's really when I started to think about what the challenges I faced in sales was, which was, as we all do, and I am, not adverse to sharing the stressful times in my career because we should all be talking about it more anyway. But I was looking at it from the point of view of, well, if I can relate to the people in the room by sharing probably what they're feeling today, they're going to feel tomorrow and probably have felt in the past. Maybe, just maybe, they'll get a better and a more positive reaction. And that's what I did. I put together a few slides, and it was like a heart on my sleeve type presentation talk where I said, "This is who I am. This is what I think sales is," and I gave my own definition of what enterprise sales is and isn't. Why this whole industry has become so process driven. And I think it's more, smart salespeople have made selling an art rather than a than a trade. And whilst people may argue that if sales is an art, it's a trade. And if you can deal with how you sell, but also how the roller coaster can be dealt with, or the roller coaster that you'll be on can be dealt with, then you've got the makings of a good salesperson. And effectively, that's what I did. I gave a 45-minute talk. As I said, the first time I ever did it, and I can. And I say this genuinely, it was the first time in any presentation I've ever given where I felt such an energy in the room where everybody in that room, and I've got to be honest, I was really nervous, right? Because I know when a salesperson presents to a salesperson, it's one of the hardest things, right? Because everybody's on the defensive, and they think that they know better than you and all the rest of it. But the energy in the room was so amazing, where as I was talking, people could relate to it. It was exactly what I was trying to achieve. They knew exactly what I meant. So when I was saying I was under pressure, when the CRO was coming down on me, when I was, getting, prepared for a forecast call where I had to say a deal is dropped or the numbers changed, or when I was going into a meeting, and I gave different scenarios. Not that I want to go through all of them now, but I was just relating to what they're feeling now, and the energy, as I said, and the kind of recognition was amazing. And at the end of the hour, the kind of 45 minutes to an hour session, everybody came up to me and shook my hand and said, "Rico, that was one of the best presentations we've had." And we've had training from IBM, from Salesforce, from all these different agencies, and no one's ever really given us a heart on the sleeve type talk, and not telling them how to sell. And I made that very clear as I was going along. My talk is like, guys, you can either listen to me, you can either take what I say or don't. I get paid anyway. But the objective was for them to relate. And they came to me at the end, they shook my hand, as I said, just repeat it. They could not have been more complimentary about what they heard. And I walked away from that meeting and I felt a buzz like I was, in my first week in sales where I made my first sale. And the buzz wasn't so much the fact that I pitched it well. It was more that I really did see the value in relating to people more on the dealing with the kind of the way you deal from a well-being perspective, or when I say well-being perspective, how you deal with sales and the pressure and everything that comes with it from a mental perspective. The benefit that brought to them gave me I don't know what the right word is, gave me a sense of giving back, which sounds maybe bizarre, but I felt like I was giving my experience, and the people on the other side, or around the table, will kind of benefit from that, and it made me feel good, and I felt that actually I was giving them something that they've never had before, and it just got me more and more thinking about mental well-being and sales, and the more I thought about it, the more I saw many different challenges that we are faced with. And, mental well-being is one of those subjects that's thrown around in every organization at the moment. And I say this, I'm probably going to be you shot down for saying it, but it's like a kind of tick in the box. And whether some people admit it or not, and I've spoken to many different people in different industries, most organizations, it's a tick in the box. You got to go online, you got to do a quick online whatever. Someone might come and compliment that with just general stress, anxiety, different type of kind of disorders, and that's it. That's not the point of what we're trying to do. We're trying to say that this is something that adds value, something that's going to help you and help you perform better. And again, the more I thought about it, the more experiences that I had, and the stresses and the big downs and the high highs, and effectively the roller coaster really led me to where Verso is today, which is I know that we can compile together content which is made up of our experience, and deliver it through different channels to this amazing community of salespeople, regardless of whether you're in IT, pharmaceutical, recruitment, it doesn't matter. Sales are sales, and add real value to and give back what I know we can give back to everyone. And there's benefits to both a salesperson as the individual and the organization, because they both win. I feel better, and if I feel better, I sell better. And the kind of the future of where I see this organization going, Verso, is that it's not just about how you feel in the sales cycle, but it's also everything around it. For example, I'm very much into my health, healthy eating, training, that kind of stuff. And I'm sure most people on this call that are listening to us will relate to is that when you travel, we all say the same thing. We all feel that we've probably eaten bad food, we've not eaten enough, and we're not getting any training in, and that's just a reality of when you travel. So aspects of what we want to cover as well is, well, how do you deal with that? What can you prepare before you leave that is healthy eating? What can you bring with you that enable you to do some basic workouts in your hotel room or wherever you are, so you maintain that I feel good because I'm eating healthy and I'm doing a little bit of training, which does affect how you think. And if you think positively, that impacts on how you wake up and leave that hotel room or walk into that office and sell and pitch what you can pitch really well. So there's different aspects that we want to tackle, and the more I've been talking to different people in the industry, from personal trainers to nutritionists, and many other people that I would say would add value and help here. That's where we want to add more to the Verso kind of collective value. So that's what really has brought us to Verso today, at least for me, and why I'm so enthused about where I know we can take this. And working with Ellie, between the two of us, we have such a unique blend of experience from, as I mentioned, different regions, different geographies and regions, same thing, different cultures, dealing with different people, different sizes of teams, different roles within sales, different organizations, from startups to corporates to different pressures, from trying to raise money in a startup to reporting into a board or reporting into a sales leadership team that report into a board, and all those different layers that make up different organizations. So that's what we bring. And Elliot, I mean, I'd love to hear, and I'm sure the audience would love to hear more from you. What brought you here? What was it that, apart from me saying I thought it was a great idea, and get, taken, I'm sure, many hours of your time telling you my story. What would you say is that kind of fire in your belly, and what you see you can bring, and why you think this is a good business?
Okay, thank you. First of all, your ideas are very interesting, and this is why I decided to jump in it with you and to to try to make it easier for all the sales community wherever you are. When I was thinking about this podcast that we want to put together, I start thinking about how did I start my sales journey? Where did it start at all? And I remember one thing that I don't know you, but in my family or in my environment, sales was not a very, let's say, respectable business or position. In most of the people want you to be an engineer,
Mm,
doctor, or something like that, and I think no, most of the parents didn't think I want my son to be a very powerful sales manager. This is not
yeah,
something you dream and even not yourself. And frankly, I was a young software engineer and I like software development. I did the first project in putting together an invoicing system for a rental car company. And one guy I knew personally was working as a manager in a new department of a very big, a very large French software company. This is something compared to a group like Sopra, for example, today, and it was something a very large company. And he told me, you know what? I think the future of people and management is not in software development. It's not in a technical position. If you want to be a leader in your life, you need to move to a sales position. And I was very uh, suspicious about it because for me it was never a real option. And he told me, you know what, I will organize for you some interview. And I went to an interview, and the guy was looking for a very young junior sales guy, and he just asked me to sell him something which is in the room, and I pick up the old black phone that we had in the late 80s at that time, and I sold him the phone on his desk. And at
mm,
the end of the interview, I don't know, maybe it was 30 minutes, I developed some arguments and I give some good ideas how to use it, why it's a good idea to buy this product and such on. And at the end, he told me, you know what, you are a very good sales person. You convince me, and I think you can do some kind of a brilliant career in our company. And I went to another guy for next interview with the sales VP sales of the company. And after 1 hour of interview, the guy said, you know what? Wonderful. I want you to be in my team. And finally, the guy who organized for me the interviews saw that those people were so enthusiastic about myself. And he said, you know what? If they think you are such a good guy to be a good sales guy, I want you to work in my department. And my first conclusion of my sales career was, you know what, never be afraid to go into some area you didn't think about it. To make it a short story, then I had to next experience few years later. I was contacted by some people from IBM. They were looking to set up a network of partners when IBM started with a personal computer, with a PC business, and they were helping to create some good partnership with a lot of companies. And then I start talking with some guy, then they offer me to create a company to be one of the IBM PC dealers in France. And when I thought about leaving my position in a very large company, software company, to come to a very new business, new, new company, small company, it was even physically not very close to my place. And finally, I went to the guy. I said, you know what? You gave me a proposal, but you just need to put X2 on any number you put in your proposal, and I will accept your proposition. And then this is what happened. The guy was very, very keen to get me working with him, and we start and we create one of the most successful IBM partner for PC at that time. And the next second conclusion for that was whenever you have an opportunity which is not in your territory, in your area of confidence, you need to find a way to open the door and to take it. The third story that I want to tell you today is that after a few years, I got a call from a guy saying, my boss is looking for a manager in a foreign country, in a different country, not in France. They had many problems with the manager of the subsidiary. They want to find someone reliable, and are you ready to come for an interview? And then I went to the interview, and the guy said, I want you to work with me. It's a new country. We want to develop the business, but there is only one problem. I need you to be there in the next days or weeks. And I even didn't check myself. I didn't check the partner I was working with. I didn't check my wife if she is okay with it. And
Mm.
in that time we didn't have a smartphone in the pocket just to send a WhatsApp and to say, okay, are you ready for that? And I said the guy, you know what? Next week I'll start with you in this country. And then I managed with my partner because anyway we decided to sell the company to a very large company. And I explained my wife that we are moving out of France, and she has to prepare everything. And I start working the following week in the other country. And it was a complicated story, but very successful. And I've been there for 13 years. So the third conclusion, just to end the story, was that whenever you have the option, you should not be afraid to change location, to change completely area of business. I knew the software business, I knew the PC business, and it was completely different area of business because it was electronic. So anytime you do, let us say that a dramatic change, you can jump into the next step. Now, this is the story of how you start your sales journey, and then we need to talk, about the forces or the strength that you need with you. And just to finish that, I will say that as a salesperson, you have probably three type of pressure, let's say that way, that you need to deal. And if you can deal with them, you will be able to keep your mental health in a good level because it is difficult. I think the first thing is, in any job you want to reach your target, you want to reach what your management is expecting from you. So in sales, it's easier because you can make it, and you can check it with numbers. Some business, some work, some job are more difficult to control because it's not a number. But in sales, it is very easy. You make the number or you don't make the number. So this is the first source of pressure. The next pressure is the pressure of management. I think we
Mm.
both and all the people in this podcast have been facing the pressure of Monday sales meeting, Monday forecast, weekly meeting, monthly forecast, and this is a type of pressure where from a strange situation, the result of the numbers is not really the target. What you want is to make your boss happy. Not sure that you want to make your number, but you want the boss to be happy with what you presented. And then the third point that create pressure for the salespeople is customer and success, because then you have a customer and he's expecting a lot of result. He want to see that the product you sold him is achieving what you promise, and you are committed to do it. Let's say day and night, and this is a third source of pressure. So what we plan to do with Verso is to help you to deal with all the three type of pressure you will face in your daily activity. This is what I can tell you today.
I mean, it's such an interesting journey, and again, listening to you, Ellie, it's kind of, really does open up. At least it opens up my, my beliefs, my thoughts about where and how I can get to where I believe I can get to in my career, and just shows that when you put your mind to something, you can achieve it. And to complement that, and maybe it's a bit of a cliche, but I live and die by this. In life, you only have one valuable asset, or just one, and it's even more important than your health, and that's time. And you know, if you don't use that time wisely while we're all here on this beautiful earth, you're wasting it. And what I'd hate to see, and I know that I've wasted a lot of my valuable asset time, is worrying and uh, just going over things, a million things in my head, all to do with what's going on with the sale or what's going on at work or what could happen. And I'm not preaching that I'm a psychologist, far from it. I'm just a normal person like everyone else is on this call. But what I do know is I've wasted too much time on all the things that I shouldn't be. Because if you're doing that, you're worrying and you're taking time away from you. You should be enjoying what you do. Yeah, listen, work is work, and we're not going to sugarcoat it and say it's all sunshine and roses because it's not, but that's life. But it doesn't have to be bad. It doesn't have to be something that you waste that valuable asset time. It's something that you can uh, better rationalize, use it to your advantage, and all these little things that again, I believe we believe together with Ellie, we can share our view on how you would do that, what you need to prepare yourself when you're in that state of mind. And as I said, look at it and try not to worry about what you can't control, which is the other thing. For those of you that know me out there, one of my famous sayings everybody laughs at me at is that you don't know what you don't know. I should trademark that, but it's so true. You can't. If we had a crystal ball, we'd all be in a different place. So you can't predict whether you are or whether you're not. Absolutely, don't get me wrong. A good salesperson, can look at the scenario, look at what is known and not known, and give yourself a good picture or outlook as to whether you've got a chance to win a deal or not. And there's structures and there's very good training programs that can teach you that, and there are different methodologies. Different methodologies like MedPick, and there's many others that can kind of give you that framework. Is where I am good or bad? What do what's missing? All those kind of things. But the point is, that's all good, but worrying about that or worrying about what could happen and worrying about what someone's going to think or say or anything like that, you're just wasting time. And that's one of the things we want to try and get across is, guys, we can make this fun. We can make this a really prosperous career for you. And as I said, it's not just about you as an individual, but what you give back and the benefit that we bring to those organizations. That's a big thing as well. And you know what? Another thing that we also want to, I suppose, address is that whether we like it or whether we don't, we live in a world that is going to be dominated or is being and is going to be dominated by AI. Um, Different people have got different views on it. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's good. I've had very good experiences from it. But in the context of sales, more and more, there is going to be an AI aspect of what you do or what we do. No longer will there be the need to have someone over the phone taking orders or ringing or cold calling, because you get virtual agents, you get virtual salespeople. You can create a lot of automation around. If you know what you want, you don't need someone to like a human basically to kind of sell it or kind of deal with you as a client. I'm not saying that's tomorrow. I'm not saying that's next year, but I can see the way the market's going, that it's reality, whether we like it or whether we don't. So how do we prepare for that? What do we need to think about now, and what strings do we need to get on our our bow, so to speak, that makes us more than just another salesperson. How can I position myself so that when I do go in an organization, I can say what me as whoever the person is, in this case, obviously Rico, can give you and the clients that an AI bot or AI whatever is going to give you. And I think that's another aspect that we really do want to challenge in terms of where we're heading as an industry. Um, and as I said, I think there's a lot of people out there that are, thinking about what does this mean for me? What does this mean for the future? We can kick the can down the road, one way of dealing with it. We can put our head in the sand, another way to deal with it, or we can be realistic and look at how either we can embrace it or how we can do something different that you can't with AI. A lot more detail around that, but this is just around the concept of what we want to talk about. So guys, look, this initial podcast is really to say hi, to introduce ourselves, to tell you a little bit about the journey, to tell you a little bit about us, and what really made us invest and venture further into this journey. We're really excited about what the future brings. I think there's still a lot of learnings. I think there's a big taboo around mental well-being and stress and anxiety, particularly within the IT industry, because it's maybe frowned upon, or maybe people are not comfortable enough to talk about it. And we want to challenge that. We want to break that taboo, and we're seeing more and more that that's being challenged. So, we're excited to be part of that. The roadmap of where we can take Verso is endless. Today we're talking about us and what we can deliver in the form of different sessions, but we're talking about more content. We're talking about more services around, what other aspects of things that you need to think about when you're selling or traveling, or like I said, the health side, etc. All of which can add a little bit more value, so that as a salesperson you can look at it from every perspective: what I'm eating, how I travel, how I invest the money that I earn. In sales we hit highs and lows. One month you can earn X and the next month you can earn a lot less than X. So how do you live a life where you've got that up and down? We're on commission and you get those big paychecks. So I think we all need to be better prepared with that. And I'm not preaching to tell you how to use your money, but there are people that I know that I've been speaking to that would be more than happy to come onto this platform and share their experience and maybe offer assistance in addressing some of these concerns or issues that you might relate to. So, guys, it's been a wonderful half an hour that we've been kind of talking together. And Ellie, as always, love speaking to you about this. I could spend the next 2 hours, talking about, really more aspects of this. But as I said, this is to kind of give you guys an intro. I hope you find it interesting. We will be recording more, and if you are interested in in talking to us further, understanding more where and how we can help, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're on LinkedIn, Verso now. We're also on Instagram. We're soon to be on other platforms, and we're more than happy to answer any questions that you might have. So with that, Ellie, I don't know if you had any last words before we close.
Wonderful. I think we probably everyone feels how we are so excited to bring our experience and to help to the community. And I think it will be something very interesting that we will make in the next weeks and months. Thank you.
Amazing. So guys, thanks again and look forward to speaking to you again. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye bye.